welcome back to Reading the Bible Together. Pastor Matt, Pastor Joe. We're reading in the middle of Luke right now, coming to Luke chapter 19. Lots going on again in the text today, but I'll let Pastor Joe take it away.
Awesome. Okay, Luke chapter 19. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through, and a man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but being a short man, he could not because of the crowd. And so he ran ahead. He climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, "Come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." And so Zacchaeus came down at once, and he welcomed Jesus gladly. All the people saw this, and they began to wonder, Jesus has gone to be the guest of a sinner? But Zacchaeus stood up and said to the Lord, "Look, Lord, here and now I give half of my possessions to the poor, and if I have cheated anybody out of anything, I will pay back 4 times that amount." And Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because this man too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and to save what was lost."
As they heard these things, Jesus proceeded to tell them a parable, because he was near to Jerusalem, and because they supposed that the kingdom of God was to appear immediately. Jesus said, therefore, "A nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and then return. And calling 10 of his servants, he gave them 10 minas, and said to them, 'Engage in business until I come.' But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, 'We don't want this man to reign over us.' When he returned, having received the kingdom, he ordered these servants to whom he had given the money to be called to him, that he might know what they had gained by doing business. The first came before him, saying, 'Lord, your mina has made 10 minas more.' And he said to him, 'Well done, good servant, because you've been faithful in a very little, you shall have authority over 10 cities.' And the second came, saying, 'Lord, your mina has made 5 minas.' And he said to him, 'And you are to be over 5 cities.' Then another came, saying, 'Lord, here's your mina, which I kept laid away in a handkerchief, for I was afraid of you, because you are a severe man. You take what you did not deposit, and you reap what you did not sow.' He said to them, 'I will condemn you with your own words, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a severe man, taking what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, and at my coming I might have collected it with interest?' And we said to those who stood by, 'Take the mina from him and give it to the one who has 10 minas.' They said to him, 'Lord, he has 10 minas.' I tell you that everyone who has, more will be given. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. But as for these enemies of mine, who did not want me to reign over them, bring them here and slaughter them before me."
After Jesus had said this, he went on ahead, going up to Jerusalem. And as he approached Bethpage and Bethany, at the hill called the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 disciples, saying to them, "Go to the village ahead of you, and as you enter it, you will find a colt that's tied up there, which no one has ever ridden. So I want you to untie it, bring it here. If anybody asks you, 'Why are you untying the colt?' tell that person that the Lord needs it." Those who were sent ahead went and found it just as Jesus said. And as they were untying the colt, its owners asked them, "Why are you untying our colt?" And they replied, "Well, the Lord needs it." Then they brought it to Jesus. They threw their cloaks on the colt. They put Jesus on it. And as he went along, the people spread their cloaks on the road. When he came near the place where the road goes down the Mount of Olives, the whole crowd of disciples began joyfully to praise God in loud voices for all the miracles that they had seen. And they said, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord. Peace in heaven and glory in the highest." Some of the Pharisees in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, rebuke your disciples." "I tell you," Jesus replied, "if they keep quiet, the stones will cry out." As he approached Jerusalem and saw the city, he wept over it. And he said, "If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The day will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you and encircle you and hem you in on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and the children within your walls. They will not leave one stone on another, because you did not recognize the time of God's coming to you.
And he entered the temple and began to drive out those who sold, saying to them, "It is written, my house shall be a house of prayer, but you've made it a den of robbers." And he was teaching daily in the temple. The chief priests and the scribes and the principal men of the people were seeking to destroy him, but they did not find anything they could do, for all the people were hanging on his words.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Lots going on in chapter 19. What's something that sticks out to you?
Oh my goodness, there's so much that sticks out to me, and I just can't resist some of the little details, right? So one of the things that you hear people say a lot is sometimes, like, because this first part of Luke 19 sounds super familiar, very parallel to Matthew 25, right? The parable of the talents. Sometimes people think, well, like, did Luke get it wrong, or did Matthew get it wrong? What's going on? Why do we have these two accounts? And that's a legitimate question, right? And the thing we have to remember, Jesus taught these stories over and over and over again to lots of different people, right? There's no manuscripting, there's no internet, there's no recording. So the only people who heard the story were the people who were in the crowd. And so Jesus goes to another crowd, he tells another story. The relationship between the minas, so one mina is 10 drachma. And in the Jewish world, the comparison was a daily wage was a denarius, right? And so in the Greek world, the daily wage is a drachma. So he's just talking about different coins with different groups of people, but the teaching is the same, the principle is the same, and it's just a matter of context. More than likely, he's talking to a group of people that were more familiar with the Greek business world, where in Matthew 25, he's talking to a group of Jewish people.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, love that. Yeah, there are just so many things, right? And like, to the same kind of effect, like he's cleansing the temple here before he's crucified. Well, I thought he cleansed the temple the first year of his ministry. Well, like, do you think Jesus did this more than once?
That's right.
If he saw something crazy happening,
that's right.
Do you think he would have stepped in? Yeah, I think, right?
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
he would have, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think for me, I really love Jesus and Zacchaeus, because you would never want Zacchaeus sitting at the table with you if you were a person seeking salvation. But what Jesus says in verse 10 there, like, the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. I loved Pastor RJ's sermon, several weeks ago now. But like, Jesus saves all the wrong kind of people, including me, right?
Including me.
I am so thankful that he would save someone like Zacchaeus, because that gives me hope that with what's going on in my head, with what's going on in my heart, he saves me too. And so I love that. What's Luke 19 mean for your faith? Like, what's that kind of deep meaning as you read it today?
So one of the things that, again, just another little detail in the text that just reminds you, of how amazing these books that we call the Gospels really are. If you jump into Luke 19, beginning in verse 42, 43, and he, Jesus gives this kind of very weird, cryptic sounding description. And he says, the day will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you, encircle you, hem you in on every side, right? So, Jesus' ministry happens between 30 and 33 AD. Well, this event actually happened in 68 AD. Josephus records it for us. But when this gospel was written, the event hadn't happened yet, which is, I think, again, that is amazing to me, because Jesus is very clearly predicting this is the destruction of the city of Jerusalem. And literally, you read Josephus and you find out that the Romans built an embankment around the entire city. They camped out for about 2 or 3 years. And when they finally broke through the walls of the city of Jerusalem, after 2 to 3 years of being out in the field fighting this war, they brought in just horrible, horrible destruction. And all the things that Jesus said that would happen did happen. not because Jesus wanted them to happen, but he's actually saying, if you had recognized who I was, right, and if you had received me as your king, then all of this would have been averted, right?
Yeah.
Which, again, is such a reminder for me that when I see violence happen in this world, God's not happy about that. Like, God doesn't rejoice when anyone is hurt or when anyone dies or when anyone suffers. He actually wants it to be the other way. And he's telling you, listen, it could be the other way, and it will be the other way when I am king. And when I do sit on that throne, then none of this stuff that will happen anymore will happen. And these couple, again, these couple verses, right, that's so easy to jump over because they don't make sense to us. These are an incredible testimony to the reliability, the accuracy, the historicity of the Gospels, that you really can trust what they say. They really are true, which is amazing.
Yeah. No, I love that. And the same thing too, like as I read that section, I think like one stone on another, like I'm just thinking like, I've seen a stone house before. Those aren't that, big deal.
Right.
But then you look and you see like some of the archaeological digs that have happened in Israel. And I was thankful to take a trip in 2015 after seminary. Like I saw these stones from the temple walls.
I
like,
am so jealous of
they're
you.
well, so there's big of it as a bus.
Yeah,
right.
right.
Like
Huge.
these stones are gigantic. They're like 40 feet long.
Yeah.
And you're listening to Jesus when he's saying this, and you're like, Jesus, you are crazy.
Right.
Like
How is that?
These stones aren't going
They're not going
anywhere.
anywhere. Yep.
And then you have these discoveries that are being made that like Josephus writing just in the immediate aftermath, but now 2,000 years later, they're giving us even more affirmation.
That's right.
As they dig around the Holy Land, and it's wild because this is faith. Yes, we have faith in the Word of God, but also God gives us our senses. He gives us reason, and I think it's reasonable for us to want to look at these things a little bit more deeply, a little bit more clearly.
That's right.
As a support, as a kind of an undergirding for that faith.
That's
so
right.
it's awesome.
Yep.
What are you, Pastor Joe? What are you going to do today, having read Luke 19?
Well, I guess the most practical, especially where we are in this point in the calendar, and Easter's just right around the corner, and we get to celebrate Good Friday together. It's easy, and I don't. This is just a personal thing. It's easy for me to think about Jesus as servant. It's easy to think about Jesus as friend. I know he is king. I don't often think about him as king. For me, the very practical reminder that he is king and he is Lord, that is trying to take that into my personal life and living in such a way where I don't question him. I say yes, because that's what you do, right? When you have a king, especially when you have a just king and a good king. The answer is yes. Okay, so now what's the question? What do you want me to do? Because I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do, because I trust him, and he has demonstrated by laying down his life that he loves me. So why wouldn't I do whatever it is he asks of me, even if I don't understand it in the moment? So that for me, that's my very practical reminder is Jesus, what are you asking me to do? And I'm going to do that, even if I don't get it or I don't quite understand why. But I trust you, and you've proven yourself to be trustworthy. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, I love that. I think for me, I'm gonna use this time to praise, right? Like the triumphal entry. I do Holy Week in reverse, right? So I cried out, "Crucify him!" by my very existence.
Yeah.
But now, with thankfulness, I no longer cry out, "Crucify him!" I cry out, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." And so I'm thankful that he's forgiven me for my sin that crucified him, and then he's given me a voice to sing out praises to his name. So that's what I'm going to do today, and thankfully I'm doing some prep for next week, right?
Yep.
So I was listening to the Good Friday service earlier, and Spencer was singing "All Hail King Jesus," right? And that just ties right in to what you were talking about, and the blessing that we have to see Good Friday through the lens of Easter.
That's right. That's right.
and to live that week in reverse
Yeah.
from bad to good, and then just even more with Easter Sunday. So,
Absolutely.
what about you guys? We'd love to see what you're doing with Luke 19. There's a lot in here, and maybe you've got questions about something we talked about that you'd love some clarity on. Drop those in the comments. But again, so thankful you're watching, and thankful for Joe for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks. It's great to be with you again today, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow.